for Baccarat, and that goes in! Hugo Baccarat gives Flint City a 3-2. Buckley, the ball falls to Buckley. One-on-one with Etheridge. What a save!
Welcome into the first ever MSN All-State Media Day for girls soccer. Jonathan Turner alongside Dan Stickrat.
Ball comes in, a good head! 1-0! Shot, another save from Etheridge! Rebound, and it goes in the back of the net. The Bulldogs up 1-0! Herzma, looking for Vlasma! 3-0! Stewart Heights with a shot! Upper 90 and in!
Effectively today here on the Michigan Soccer Network, we are launching our new division of player recruitment videos.
Mario Canoe now finds Stock. Stock's got a left-footed banger. He shoots it! It's in! The Red Hawks equalize!
All right, I am joined now by Danny Price, the new head coach of Marion High School in the girls soccer program. Danny, welcome to the MSN.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. It's nice to be on the show. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Hey, Marion High School is a powerhouse in girls soccer. They've been to 16 Final Fours, 13 state finals. You've won it 9 times, and it's third overall in the MHSAA. You are stepping into a role that has some history.
Yeah, I do. It's an interesting time for me. Obviously, just moving across the parking lot. Well, kind of walking across the parking lot in a sense, because now we've got 2 programs in the same area. So, it's a big job. It's a fantastic opportunity for me, and one that I relish, and I'm so grateful that our AD Mike Watson through the hiring process said yes to me. So thank you to him.
You mentioned walking across the parking lot. You're also the head coach of the boys' side, Brother Rice High School, where you started there back in 2019. Led them to their first state finals appearance in over 12 years back in 2022. Obviously falling just short in the state finals, but a phenomenal year in its own right. So you've led that program back, and now your goal here at Marion is to do the same with them.
Yeah, 2 different programs in a sense. When I took over in 2019, it was in a different state. The program was in a different state. With 12 seniors, graduating, and then having to kind of almost change the culture and change the DNA in a way. But when taking over at Marion, it was obviously, as you said, they're a powerhouse program, and they already have an established culture there, and what Barry did and what Reed followed on with was obviously absolutely tremendous. So going in there and obviously knowing a lot of the girls from the club travel era, but then going in there with my own ideas, and I think that's I think it's been a good transition so far. I will say that, especially in the first early games. But it's something I'm really looking forward to. It's a huge responsibility, as you said, but one I'm really looking forward to.
Is it, as a coach, obviously with your national A license, you're the director of coaching for Ann Arbor and Liverpool FC, going into a program knowing their history, the one that is as good and as strong as Marion's, is that intimidating on any level as a coach?
I think it's nerve-wracking at times. I think when you think about it, obviously you're following on history and tradition. A lot of traditions at the program that I wasn't aware of until I got there, that have been passed down through alumni and such. And obviously with the alumni winning so many trophies and having so much success over the years, I wouldn't say intimidating. I've been in pressure environments before, but I would definitely say an inherent responsibility to continue that success. I wouldn't say it's keeping me up at night, but I would say that it's an inherent responsibility to make sure that success is continued. So, obviously we've got a great support system at the school. The AD Mike Watson is absolutely tremendous in his support of me and the program. The girls are fantastic, and the school structure itself is top class. So it's an opportunity that I relish and one that I look forward to. We'll see about pressure when it comes to Catholic League playoffs and state playoffs. We'll see then.
No question about that. So, Danny, we just recently had a chance to talk with Jason Clark, who's the new head coach over on the girls' side for Troy Athens. And something that we talked about, when you start about storied girls programs, stories programs across the state, Athens is one of those programs as well. And the question we asked him, I'll ask you this: is when you're stepping into a role like this, is it like are you like driving the bus and just keeping it going on the same path? Are you trying to make it your own, right? I mean, is that, or are you, we're going to keep going on the same path, just driving down, I'm going to make some changes and keep this thing rolling?
I think every coach is unique, right? And in the sense of the way that they operate and the way that they would like things done. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of traditions at the school that that are really important to the players that have been passed down from alumni to alumni, and into the program from coach to coach. So I've inherited those traditions, and it's important to carry those on and respect them because they're part of the history of the program. There's a couple of those traditions that myself and the senior players and the overall varsity group met about at times, and we talked about modifying them and changing them just a little bit because I felt like there was a little bit too much pressure on the girls to continue that tradition on, but and then almost a superstition about it in the sense that if that tradition wasn't done, then it was, oh my God, the game's going to go bad for us today because we haven't continued that tradition on. So it's almost like just modifying those traditions a little bit and making sure that we still respect them. But yeah, I would say, I mean, everybody's different. I mean, I had to change the philosophy and the DNA, if you will, at Rice after taking over from Barry because, Barry and I are very different. Reed and I are very different, very good coaches, but very different. So yeah, I would say that there's an element of continuation for me to make sure things are moving in the right direction. But then there's also, you look at the playing style. I think I spoke with Jason Folsom at Hometown Life after the Wall Lake Northern game, and he was very complimentary about the way we played, and I said, well, that's it's part of the change that I wanted to bring into the team. So it's been good that way. But yeah, element of change, but also a lot of the same things as well.
No question about that. You guys are currently 1-0-1. Your first game against Wall Lake North and won 1-0. You tied against Country Day, a good Country Day squad. You guys start your Catholic League play here against Cranbrook coming up on Monday.
Yeah, we do, which I'm really looking forward to. We've got a rivalry with them, obviously, with Rice as well. So it'll be a good game for us. But yeah, the Northern game was very tough. A really difficult team. A Division I team that gave us some trouble, but I thought we played very well in it. Laura Hamway over at Country Day has always had a great program, and she's obviously been there for 20 odd years, so she's got a lot of history herself. I felt like we probably played some of our best soccer throughout the preseason and early season games in the second half against Country Day. And we were very unlucky not to win the game, really, to be honest, due to the amount of possession that we had and chances that we created. So, I was pleased with the way that we've played. But again, they're taking on new ideas, they're taking on new systems, new style of play, which they're adopting very quickly because they're talented players. But, I don't think you've seen the best from us yet.
No, and obviously Cranbrook over the years has been a foe of Marion. In regards to not only the Catholic League, but also the playoffs, because typically come playoff time in districts, you guys see each other. So talk about that a little bit, about now understanding, because Rice has different, rivals as well. Marion, different.
Yeah, I think, we've got Cranbrook and Mercy are actually in our district, I believe. So, we've not only got them for Catholic League playoffs, we also have to contend with them in the district as well. And it's very difficult, as I've said before, with the boys, and I've said at club level, it's very difficult to beat the same team twice throughout the course of a season because they see you and they know who you are. You just got to rely on your experience and your players that follow direction and details and hope that, when those games do come around, that, hopefully, the players enjoy the games and they don't get too caught up in the emotion of it because they're tight rival Catholic League games.
So you play your home games at Marion. Are those games, do this kick off typically at 4:30 in the afternoon, as well as for, like, the boys' side?
4:36, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Our home games are typically 6 o'clock because we don't have lights at Marion. But then, most of our away games are like 7 o'clock under the lights.
Does the difference in time affect your players on some level? Because I know that when I was coaching at Groves, going and playing a 4:30 or a 6 o'clock game, especially at Cranbrook, by the way, which as much as I love that place, as far as their field is concerned, it's a hard place to play at, especially at that time. Is that something that you as a coach have to try to manage the best you can when you're talking about playing, going from a 7 o'clock start to a 6 o'clock start to a 4:30 start with your players?
A little bit because a little bit because you're also going through, the kids finish school at 2:45, so if some kids, and we have some kids that are quite far away as well, we have some kids that almost drive, 45 minutes to an hour to go to Marion. So, they don't typically go home afterwards. So now you're contending with unity dinners after school. So unity dinners involve the kids going to someone's house, and now they're getting together as a team, which is great from a chemistry standpoint. But what are they eating? Are they resting? Are they stretching? What time they come to the game is important. But I prefer the late starts, really, to be honest. It gives the kids a little bit more downtime to get homework done and relax and all that sort of thing. I tend to, the 4:30 start right after school, it almost feels too rushed for me. I like the later start so that we can, have the unity dinners. They can do a little bit of stretching, and then, we can have a team talk and then go out and to doing our warm-ups and into the games.
Fair enough. Expectations for this season. Obviously, you're coming into a program that's got a lot of history we've talked about. But what are your expectations for this program this season?
It's a good question, and it's one that we had a team meeting, bonding event the Friday after tryouts, where we talked about goals and expectations throughout the course of the season. And I gave them some prompts and sort of like encouraged them in a way to stay away from fixed targets, fixed goals, in the sense of, let's take Catholic League Catholic League titles and MHSAA titles. Let's take those off the table, because they're any goal. They're ultimately the any goal of any high school program that's got ambition, right? So I don't want us to immediately put that pressure on us, from the first whistle. So let's focus on small goals, I was really surprised, actually. And quite proud of them for the way that they came together as a school and came together as a program and identified small goals that they can really sink their teeth in early on to the season. And then as we get into playoffs later on in the season, then we can start to focus on the goals that they really want. So trying to eliminate that pressure early on and just focusing on some small goals of our playing style as a team, how quickly we recover the ball after we lose it, certain games, upcoming games in the Catholic League that we want to make a good impression in, performance related, all that type of stuff. So I'm quite proud of them for the goals that they set, that were not too lofty expectational goals early on in the season.
That's really good. Talking about your players for a second, obviously, there's always players that show up on game day that have great stats and help get the results. The question I have is in regards to that X factor player, that player that may not show up on the stat board. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of stats, but they are the workhorse behind the team. Every team's got one. Who's Marion's this season?
Hate singling out players because, I feel like, and I was just having this conversation the other day with a really close friend of mine that's actually a parent on that group. And when you talk about rosters and you talk about squads, it's, I'm not naive enough to know that every travel coach or every high school coach goes through this as well, is that you select a roster of 17 to 20 players, whether that be travel or high school, and sometimes it's more than that. And you have a significant drop off, or a drop off at some point in the roster. You have 16 solid players, and then you have 4 or 5 players that, maybe there's a drop off and they don't get so much playing time. I am so lucky and so blessed with this particular group of players in this 20 player roster, that I have complete trust in every single one of them to come into the game and make an impact in the various different positions that they play in. So, just we have a tradition within the team. It's called a hammer, and it's actually a sledgehammer. It's actually quite dangerous, but it's a sledgehammer that gets carried around from game to game, and the player of the game gets that hammer and takes it home. And it's been a tradition in the Marion program for so long. And the first hammer in our Wall Lake Northern game went to a sophomore that's a really tiny player, but super feisty, and she was absolutely tremendous in that game, and changed the game for us. But really, more than that, specifically followed the details that I wanted from her as an outside forward within that game. So I think they're all game changers in my mind, and I'm so proud of them as a squad. I wouldn't like to single out one player because I think I'd be doing the 19 an injustice, really. So I'm quite blessed with all 20 of them, really.
No, it's really cool. Danny, any final thoughts? Anything you like to, anyone out there who doesn't know much about Marion or knows a lot about Marion that you like everyone to know about this program?
I think what I would like to say is that we're definitely not a traditional high school program. We're very very different in terms of playing style. And one of the things that I was really proud of with the girls, and I said this to Brandon Folsom at Hometown Life after the first game, was he saw two sides to Marion soccer program after that first game against Wall Lake Northern. In the first half, it was a very composed European style football, very easy on the eye, lots of possession in the game, lots of chances created. In the second half, you saw us react to the opponent reacting to us and making the game gritty and determined, and very, very hard challenges, and 100% work rate. So they can play a very attacking, attractive style brand of soccer, but then they can also get down and dirty when they need to, and put in a gritty performance. So I would definitely say that's our program, really, to be honest. The school in itself is tremendous. I've only been there since September, and the interactions that I've had with the school faculty and the students, the school itself, it's an unbelievable educational institution that I would encourage any female student athlete to look at.
Danny, thank you very much. Danny Price, the new head coach of Marion High School here, currently 1-0-1 this season, looking to play Cranbrook away here on Monday, the solar eclipse day here coming up on Monday. Danny, thank you very much.
All right, cheers. Thanks a lot.